Hello there, I'm Ms. J, and this is my overview of MLA Format. It's not a complete overview, but it'll give you the basics for how to format your paper. Now, the first thing you want is to look at margins, and I believe that we now have 1-inch margins all around as the default in Word. Now, if you're using a different word processor, you might want to check that to make sure. The next thing you're going to want to look at is your font. We usually use Times New Roman 12-point font. This is just the standard. The only real rule is that it has to be readable and a decent sized font, but since this is the standard, this is what I teach. Then you're going to look at paragraphing, and there are a couple of ways to do that. You can open paragraph settings, and in that case you would keep the indentations at 0, you would go to double spacing, and you see this here? This is for space after you hit the Enter key. So you want that at 0. And that's what you'll do. If it's your own computer, you can set that as default. I don't know if you saw that, so let me show you. You can set it as default. Okay. So we've got the paragraphing and the spacing. I'm going to go ahead and add a page number and a last name first. I don't always do it first, but just to get it over with, I'm going to say add a page number at the top of the page, plain number 3, and you notice it starts on page 1. If you just type in 1, it will not give you page 2. Every page will be page 1. So you want that. And you're going to now type in the last name, your last name, the student last name. So since my student's name is Rowdy Roadrunner, the last name is Roadrunner. Okay, so we're going to save that, or just go back. We don't have to save it. Just go back, and you would then do your name, your professor's name, the course name, and the date. Let me just pause for a second because I'm a slow typist. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to hit paste, and you see student name, instructor's name, course name. For Comp 1, our course name is WRC 1013. For Comp 2, it's 1023. And the date. The date is in, we usually say European style, day, month, year. The military also uses this style, I believe. And then you want to have a title. So I'm going to just type a title here. Okay. Then hit enter again and go to the left. You will notice there is no extra white space between the date and the title, nor is there going to be any extra white space between the title and the text. MLA is double spaced with no extra white space. This is true everywhere. So the first line of each paragraph is indented. This is largely because we don't take any of that extra white space. If you were taking extra white space, you don't need to indent, but we're not. So that's how we do the indentation. You just hit tab and it'll take you 1 inch over, or a half an inch over. Now I want to show you a little bit about in-text citations. It's very important that anytime you use a source, whether you are summarizing, as we will do for our first essay, or you are paraphrasing, or you are quoting, you have to cite that source. So I'm just going to paste this in here, and of course I have to indent the, as if this were a new paragraph. And here we have, in his autobiography, Frederick Douglass wrote about learning to read and write. His mistress taught him for a while, but she stopped after her husband told her to. After that, she did all she could to prevent him from learning from anyone else. Page 1. Okay, so that's how you do it if you mention the author in the piece of work. And actually, that's not page 1 because we're using a different source now. So that is page 25. Okay, if you weren't going to mention it and you were just doing something else that you were quoting or something, let me see. Hold on just a second and I'll pull up something to quote. If you're quoting someone, there are a few different kinds of rules, and let me go ahead and copy and paste this in. You, of course, start with quotation. This bread I would bestow on the hungry little urchins, who in return would give me that more valuable bread of knowledge. And then you would cite the author's last name, because in this, I did not mention the author. I just have he. So, Douglass, 26. I want to show you two things about this that are different from what most people do. The quote goes after the last word of the quotation. Then you have your citation in parentheses, and the period goes after the citation. That's a real common mistake to put the period after the quote, but that's how you do it in MLA. Okay. I'm going to take you in a minute to the works cited page. First thing you do, if this is the last word of your essay, which of course it will not be, you're going to need to go onto a works cited page. Now, what most people do is just hit enter until it comes to the next page. That almost always messes up your format. So the thing to do is hit insert, page break, and now you're on the next page. I'm going to go back to home so that I can center the title. Now in this case, we are only doing one source, so I'm going to say work cited. If, oh, wait a minute. Okay. Okay. Works cited. And this looks like something's wrong with the page, and I'm not sure why. Is it indenting one? I think it probably is. Okay. So let's do this. All right, works cited. And I'm going to go to and make sure it's not indenting, okay? And then you hit enter again. Now, you'll go back to the left align, but the thing you'll need to do is create a hanging indent. So you go here and you say special hanging, and that will give you a different way of citing. The first line will be all the way over at the left, and the second line will be indented. So let me go ahead and copy and paste this over, and there you have it. This is an indented citation. Okay, so because we're using a chapter from a book, and I just noticed that narrative is not italicized and should be. If this were had a title other than Chapter 7, I would put it in quotation marks. Then you've got the title of the book, which is in italics. And because this is an ebook, you say it's an ebook. It's from this company, Student Handouts, Inc. We're going to be reading pages 25 to 29, and you retrieved it from studenthandouts.com. You will notice that this is not a hyperlink. If I were to hit enter, it might, no, it didn't. Sometimes they'll automatically become a hyperlink, in which case you need to turn it into a regular, undo the hyperlink. So I think that is all for now. Just remember, double spaced with no extra white space anywhere. Your last name and page number. The odd stuff is that it is European date, and the works cited is double spaced with no extra white space, but it's also in hanging indent instead of a regular indent. Okay, so I hope you have a great day, and stay tuned for the quiz.